You're watching Security Scope on AIT. Time for this week's Matter of the Moment. Security and Civil Defense Corps was first introduced in May 1967 during the Nigerian Civil War within the then Federal Capital Territory of Lagos for the purpose of sensitization and protection of the civil populace. It was then known as Lagos Civil Defense Committee. In 1984, the Corps was transformed into a national security outfit, and in 1988, there was a major restructuring of the Corps that led to the establishment of commands throughout the Federation, including Abuja, and the addition of special functions by the federal government on 28 June 2003, and an act to give statutory backing to the NSCDC passed by the National Assembly was signed into law by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. The Corps is statutorily empowered by the Law Act 2 of 2003 and amended Act 6 of 4th June 2007, and prides itself as the Nigerian security outfit mandated to protect critical national infrastructure. But recent crackdowns on vandalism on critical infrastructure, such as oil pipelines and the busting of oil theft syndicates, has led many of the core critics to have a rethink. Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory is littered with critical national infrastructure by virtue of the various services rendered by government to the people, which means the Civil Defense Corps in Abuja clearly has its work cut out for it. What is the difference between the functions of the Civil Defense Corps and regular security outfits such as the police and the military? How has it been performing its task in the Federal Capital Territory? What are the core major successes and challenges in executing its mandate in the Federal Capital Territory? To answer these and other questions, I'm pleased to welcome the Federal Capital Territory Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Olusola Odumosu. Welcome to Security Scope.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
When the Corps was established, there was critical analysis and critics who described the functions of the Civil Corps as the responsibility of regular security agencies such as the police were all over the place. What do you think, or what do you have to say to those who belong to that school of thought, that the civil defense is playing the same role with the police?
Well, thank you very much for that question. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps is a full-fledged paramilitary agency of governments and saddled with responsibility to protect lives and property. But chief of our mandates is the protection of critical national assets and infrastructure. And of course, I'm happy when you were reading out your, I think, matter arising or whatever.
Matter of the moment.
Matter of the moment. You said those who belong to that school of thought are now having a rethink. Well, they will have a rethink because we have justified our existence, since the creation of NSCDC. You see, in the area of curbing vandalism, of petroleum pipelines, you see, in the area of protecting critical national assets and infrastructure all over the country, But, of course, I'm here in the capacity of the FCT Commandant. And I'm happy to tell you that we're playing our part. The NSCDC, our role is very clearly spelled out and unambiguous. We are not doing any role of any other agencies of government, but we have our own clear-cut mandate, which is protection of critical national assets and infrastructure, which, by the special grace of God, we're trying our best. Also, we are saddled with the responsibility to license and train, monitor, regulate the private guards, industry. Because, of course, you will understand, for those who know the intricacies of securities, private guard security they play a very pivotal role in security management and, of course, in intelligence gathering. And we are in charge. We monitor them, we train them, we regulate them, and we recommend their licensing, to the Honorable Minister, who does the final,
Minister of Interior.
Minister of Interior, of course. Yeah, so luckily for us, again, we have, a man at the helm of affairs, our Commandant General, Dr. Ahmed Abubakar Haudio, MNI OFR, is a man worthy of his salt. He came and he was able to rejuvenate, restructure, revamp, and, take NSCDC to the next level. That is why all the successes you are seeing today, is because we have a game changer at the helm.
Well, before we talk about all those changes, take us through what the journey of the civil defense has been since its establishment. I understand that your jurisdiction is the FCT, but at the same time, as a senior personnel of the Corps, you can still speak on behalf of the agency. How would you describe the journey?
The journey has been very remarkable, and it's a testimony that for those of us who are in the service today, will always, live to applaud. We came on board, just like you said, due to the exigency of the Civil War. That's in 1967. And that was the first time Nigeria will be experiencing such a level of catastrophe. And a lot of Nigerians are not, enlightened in this area. So some group of, individuals came together, and some of them retired personnel. And they felt there would be need to, have some group of people who could come forward while the military are in the forefront, fighting the battle. There should be some group of people who will be able to stand in the gap, for those who are injured, and they also be able to educate people, so that when they see maybe a fighter jet and is about to, maybe drop bombs, how they can jump into trenches, safety, and the precautionary advice, that was what they were doing at that point, and rescuing victims who were probably injured. And after the war, government felt that there is need to, haven't seen, the functions and, the support they gave at that time, and the relevance, yes. Government felt that, there is a need for this organization to be, encouraged. And because, our 4BS too, they had determination, to serve the nation. Then it was a voluntary organization. And, the urge to provide service continued, and that is what metamorphosed into what we have today. And today we have NSCDC, our commands nationwide in all the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory.
Now, in the Federal Capital Territory, your own jurisdiction is where we are going to zero down this next question, where you control. What are the peculiarities of protecting critical national infrastructure in Abuja and its environs? You're talking about the national or the nation seat of power. What are the peculiarities?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that is driving us to success is also, like I said earlier, I have a mandate. when I was appointed as the 12th substantive commandant of the FCT, my CG then charged me because there have been reported cases of vandalism, in the FCT, which he has been so perturbed about. So he gave me a charge that you're going there not to be an armchair commandant, you're going there to work. And he gave me, specifications of what to do, and chief of which is rid FCT of vandals. Because, if you go around, the city, you see that it's not as if government is not trying. It's not as if government is not providing infrastructure. But most of this public utilities, some of them are gone. Look at the manhole covers, for instance. You go through our roads, because one of the things I did when I came on board was to take my men of the Critical National Asset and Infrastructure Department. We went on the drive of the FCT, and we had to go around and took, an audit of all of this, public facilities. And most of them, we found out that they have been exposed to, vandals. And then I understood where my CG was coming from. And we had no choice. So I restructured that department, and then I reintroduced, day and night patrol, because one of the things I discovered, which from intelligence and our field experience, is that majority of these vandals are the so-called scavengers you see, going about within the city centers, picking scrap metals, picking rubbish, and the rest of them. I discovered that most of them, they hide under the facade of being scavengers. Some of them, they pretend to be destitute. When you go under the bridges at night, you see them, hanging in different corners under the bridges. Their intention is very straightforward. They wait under the covers of the night when the road is deserted, and they see that, okay, it's very good, very good atmosphere for them to operate, and that's what they do. So they come out at night, and that is when they, they pilfer a lot of, this infrastructure. And so we are working, 10 steps ahead of them, and that is why we are getting results. If you have been following us, it has been back-to-back arrests, And I discovered recently that the attention has now gone to streetlights.
Yes.
Because if you look around, you see that the Honorable Minister of FCT, His Excellency Yeson Wike, is trying his best. We are even, currently commissioning a lot of projects at the moment. And this is to add value, to this federal capital city, where we have the seat of power, where we also have a lot of, missions and, MDAs, So it's a focus where we can't afford to disappoint, those who have put us there. So that is why we have gone extra mile, and that is why we are getting results.
If you're just joining us, you're watching Security Scope on Africa Independent Television. Our conversation today has been on protecting critical infrastructure in the Federal Capital Territory. And our guest has been the Commandant of the FCT, Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps, Olusola Odumosu. Thanks for still staying.
Thank you for having me.
You have just reeled out some of the challenges or the peculiarities of protecting critical infrastructure in FCT. I would like to know what has been the challenges. So far, so good. Because I know you have been on the saddle in the last 1 year and about 4 months.
All right, thank you. There is nothing you do that you would not find locations in different parts of the FCT, and we have 6 area councils. So of course, for us to really achieve greater results, we will be glad if we have a number of operational vehicles that can do the job, because most of these criminals, they also understudy operations, and when they understand that you have certain limitations here and there, they cash in on that, they can take advantage of that. I said that for emphasis because sometimes when doing our patrols, especially at night, we have to go to different places at the same time. So realizing that you have limitations, you have limited patrol vehicles. If you have to go to Gwarimpa axis, the same vehicle will have to still go to maybe Airport Road. But it makes a lot of sense when you are doing all of this, combing simultaneously, because they can notice that, okay, you're in Gwarimpa area. Once you leave that area, you're going to Airport Road. As you leave, they go there. So we would like to
Have you been able to make arrests? Have you been able to prosecute the ones who are arrested and gotten convictions?
So far,
have you been able to recover any of these vandalized equipment?
If I have to reel out our success so far, since I came on board, we have been able to arrest 274 suspected vandals successfully, and even tomorrow, I still have about 7 in my custody that I'm parading tomorrow. And guess what they did? the vandalized street lights, around the Banex axis. I have about 4 street light poles that I recovered, lying down within my facilities. And not only that, like I said, we have a lot that we have recovered. So far, we have recovered, when you talk about railway sleepers, I have 52 railway sleepers recovered. Telecommunication antenna, I have 2. Telecommunication tower, mast, I have 9 recovered. Angle iron, I have 10 of that. Iron pipes, I have 22. Small hammered cable, I have 15. Medium iron cable, I have 12. Giant hammered cable, I have 10. So these are all government property that have been in the hands of those people, and we're able to recover them. Aluminum, the list goes on and on, but...
oftentimes we see these arrests, but we don't know more about the prosecution and conviction.
Yes,
the prosecutions
we do. We're prosecuting, and currently I have ongoing about 7 cases, going on at the court. We recently concluded about 16, and the cases are ongoing. One of the challenges we have is that, even within the judicial sector, we have a lot of delays, getting dates for hearing, for all. Another thing we encounter is that even when we're able to get their hearing and we'll take them to court, the issue of witnesses coming on board is also another problem. And this has affected, some of these cases we have taken to court because, in that, sector, they deal with facts and figures and all of that. So sometimes there are cases that requires, witnesses, and
people are not forthcoming.
They are reluctant. They are reluctant. They are afraid to come on board, and so that becomes, another challenge for us. What do we do with the suspect? So then another thing is, just like I said, adjournments here, and as I speak with you, we have cases from 2013. That is still...
Well, that's a peculiar thing with most law enforcement agencies.
You can understand what we are going through. Those are some
Anyways,
challenges.
Just before I let you go, because I think we have less than 5 minutes to go now, there are complaints about your personnel complicit in some crime and unprofessional conduct during operations. What are you doing to stem this tide or curb it completely? Have you addressed it at any point?
Do you have facts to prove that?
Well, these are public complaints.
Well, I haven't heard that so far. But if I should just go by, general, let's say, assessment, there is no way you will have an organization or a group of people that all of them, you'd expect all of them to behave the same way. So definitely you will still have some bad eggs, And I want to say that is not peculiar to civil defense. In every organization we have bad eggs, but when the good ones, overwhelms the bad one, then I think you should be given some applause. But then that is not to say that we wouldn't. We're not looking in that direction. We have a CG who has zero tolerance for corruption, for compromise, and we have an in-house disciplinary mechanism for any hearing officer that that violates the law. So it's something. It's a sing song for civil defense because they know there has been a lot of actions taken in the past for those who had heard, and so nobody wants to fall into that same.
All right. Are we expecting any new crime-fighting strategies from the Civil Defense Corps, especially as the bad guys seem to have upped their game in recent times, especially in vandalizing? See, the manholes in FCT are all gone. The only place you find manholes on the streets are where they perceive that there are cameras that, will attract the owners of the houses. Take a look at this one on the screen now. This one is because there is a camera there. This was the shot we took just yesterday. But for every other part of Abuja where we went, whether it was Mitama, Asokoro, Wuse 2, there are no more manholes in FCT, except in the places. Look at this one now.
Yeah, that's why I told you earlier that, we went around and we discovered that. So what are the
new strategies you are adopting to get these criminals out?
We wouldn't divulge our strategies on the television, but what I can only assure you is that, in fact, let me also reiterate that since I came on board, the level of vandalism, especially for my covers, has drastically reduced. I can take that to the bank anytime because my men are on ground 24 hours. It has seriously reduced. And for those miscreants who are still out there, you know, I've told them it's a war against them. And that is why I said if you're following us, it's back to back. I'll keep arresting them until we are able to rid FCT of these criminals, of these miscreants, because all the aesthetics of Abuja is gone. So we won't allow that to happen.
All right, sir. In 30 minutes, if the Abuja people, residents, have been supporting you, just one word for them. If Abuja residents have been giving you the support you need to help protect the national critical in FCT.
You know,
30 seconds.
Security is everybody's business, and that is why we'll always ask for support from the general public. Give us information where necessary. Majority of these criminals and vandals, they live within our community. They live in our house. We know them. They are no ghosts. So please, anytime you notice anything suspicious or any movement of some suspicious group of individuals, please let us know. We will assure you of your utmost confidentiality anytime, any day. But of course, we also need to know that this critical infrastructures, these public utilities, is for all of us. And damaging them doesn't add value to you, nor to the country. So please, let us, ensure that we protect our collective wealth.
Thank you so much, Commandant Odumosu, for coming on Security Scope. We're looking forward to have you again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Come when we invite you.
Yes, I sure will.
Nigerians will be glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right, what the Commandant has said is, if you see something, say something. He is the Commandant of the Federal Capital Territory of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Olusola Odumosu. That's where we draw the curtain on today's episode of Security Scope. Be sure to join us same time next week for a fresh edition of the program. Remember to say no to drugs. I'm Ada Bison Ononi. Bye for now.